Hi everyone, it's Kimmy. Today we're going to work a nice before and after shot for you. I have an image of a bee that I took in my front yard. The picture's already been cropped, so my point of interest, which is the bee, can kind of fall in my upper right hand corner, which is the best spot for it to be. Before we get started, I'm going to work in Elements, and I don't normally work in Elements, so if I get lost, just kind of bear with me. Don't judge me too harshly. I'm used to being in CS. I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, go down here to Preferences, and choose General. And I'm going to check Zoom with Scroll Wheel and Zoom Resizes Windows. It's going to make it a lot easier to work. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Since our bee is obviously our center of interest, that's the part that we're going to work on. The first thing I want to do is sharpen. I don't want to sharpen the entire image. Then there wouldn't be any point for choosing the correct aperture to make it work. So let's go in and choose our lasso tool. We're going to zoom in just a little. See, now my scroll wheel works. And I'm going to make a loose selection around the bee. There we go. See, we have our marching ants. Our selection is done. Let's right click inside the selection. We're going to choose feather. And let's pick somewhere about maybe 35. I've resized this down to make it a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to use Control J. Put my selection on its own layer. If you're on a Mac, wait, the TV came back. If you're on a Mac, that's going to be Command J. So let's see. This is what our selection looks like. If we turn off our background layer, you can see when we zoom in how it feathers out along the edges. If we did our selection and we didn't feather, it would be really obvious that we made a change in the photograph. But because this blends smoothly, it just looks like it was taken that way. Let's turn our background image back on. We're going to take our bee, make sure that our selection layer is highlighted. We're going to go up to Filter, Other, and choose High Pass. I have my high pass settings at 6.5. I tend to leave them there. That's just what works for me. I'm going to hit OK. When you're using the high pass for sharpening, you can either use overlay or you can use soft light. You need to pick a blend mode or you'll keep that ugly gray color. On a portrait, I always use soft light, but I think our bee can probably handle overlay. So let's see what he looks like. Let's zoom in. Of course, now the scroll wheel's not working. I'm going to use Control+. Hold down the space bar and it'll make the hand appear. You can drag your image where you want it to be. So this is before we sharpened, and this is after we sharpened. So I think that looks pretty good. We may even take that another level. Let's see if we can push it. Let's do Control J again, and we'll do Filter, Other, High Pass. We'll select OK. And now let's go down to Soft Light. Now it may have been a bit much. Let's see. That's before. This is after. Let's zoom back out and see what he looks like. Full screen. If you go up and find the hand and you double click on the hand, your image will fill your workspace. That may give us a better idea of what it really looks like. Let's turn our layer off and back on. Yeah, I think it can handle both. Okay, the next thing we want to do is our bee's a little lackluster and he's kind of lost in the picture. So we're going to darken our background. Let's go here and choose, where's Hue Saturation? We're going to select green for the background. And we're going to lower the saturation on the green. And let me see if I can move this for you. And we're going to darken our green. You don't want to go too much where it starts to look unreal. But we want to darken it some so it doesn't stand out. Okay, let's close this back down. Move it back out of the way. So this was before, and this is after. And you can always change the opacity if you find you've gone a little bit too far. So using our HueSat layer, we've created a layer mask. And I want to bring the green color back in on the flower itself. So you select your brush. Where's the brush? There we go. You want to make sure black is your foreground color. We're going to pick a nice soft edge brush. If your brushes don't come up like this, you can go here, choose large thumbnail. Makes it a lot easier to see. You can also move them around wherever you want them to be. Let's pick 200 and see what we get. Now, I'm going to go really quick just for the sake of doing the image. But you see, when we paint in with black, it brings our color back. Now we can zoom in. We can use our bracket key to bring our brush size down. And then you can go in and really paint what you want to show. I'm just going to do it kind of quick for the sake of the video. And if you go off, oops, you just switch back to white and you just paint it back out. Let's see. Go over here a bit, make sure we're back on black. Get a few of these spaces. Let's go really small and we'll get this little leaf right here. Maybe that's too small. Remember, the whole point of this is manipulating your image so it really doesn't look like it was manipulated. You never want to sharpen to the point that they can tell it's been sharpened. Okay, so here we are. This is what we have now. Now maybe our green went a little bit too far. This was before, and this is after. So maybe we'll drop our opacity down just a hair and let some of that green come back through. There we go. Our bee stands out pretty good. I find he's kind of lackluster in color, so let's liven him up a bit. We're going to create a new blank layer. I've already picked a nice little yellow tone. We're going to click OK. We're going to take our paintbrush. I'll find it. And let's zoom in. Make sure you have that blank layer selected. You want it to be on its own layer. We'll make our brush a little bigger. And we'll just kind of paint in on his white spots. And you can see I'm not doing a perfection job here. Let's zoom in a little, make our brush a little smaller, and get this part on the top. Okay, we'll zoom back out. Now, that didn't look too good, but let's go up and change our blend mode to color. There we go. So this is our bee before, and this is our bee after. Now, that may be a little too extreme, so let's drop our opacity down on that layer till we think it looks somewhat believable. There you go. I think that's okay. Now, I think he stands out well, but he would probably stand out better if we darkened our background. So we're going to burn in part of that background. Let's make another new blank layer. We're going to go up to Edit and choose Fill Layer. And it's already selected. But if you don't see it in this drop-down box, you're going to select 50% gray. You want to make sure Preserve Transparency is not selected. And you're going to click OK. To use this with Burn and Dodge, you're going to change this blend mode to Overlay. As soon as I can find it here. There we go. anytime you want to use the burn or the dodge tool, this is a great way to do it. And there are other ways to do it. This is just what I learned, so it's what I tend to use. Now, here's your dodge. Dodge is going to lighten and burn is going to darken. So we're going to select our burn tool. You want to make sure you're on midpoint, midtones. And then I want my exposure set to about 15%. We're going to need to select a brush. And then we're going to just start painting away at our background. Maybe we'll darken our corners, give kind of a vignette effect to it, go along our edges. We don't want to go over our green on our flower. And you see it isn't too severe. Maybe tone down these really light parts. Let's see. Let's zoom in a little. We'll change our brush size and just kind of dab at the lighter areas. Again, holding my space bar to grab my image and move it around. And maybe that was a bit much. There we go. Let's go smaller. We'll get in some of these harder to reach areas. Okay, let's find our hand and we'll double click. Now, this was before our burn layer and this is after. So he really is starting to be the focal point of our image. I think I may want to burn. Let's select the burn tool again. Make our brush a little small, a little bigger. Maybe just a little bit more right here in this bright spot. Okay, so here we go. We're going to take everything that we've done so far. We never merged down. Everything is still completely editable, where you can go in and make changes. If you're working on a portrait and you've done eyes and you kept your eyes on a separate layer and you print it and it looks like you have crazy eyes, you can always go back and change your layer because you didn't merge down. But to take all of these layers and combine them into your final image, there's a shortcut. You hit Shift, Control, Alt, and the letter E. So I'm going to hold Shift, Control, Alt, and E all at once, and it combines all of our layers into a brand new image. So if we turn off all of these layers, there's our before, and there's our after. You see when we darken the background, this was a very flat, straight out of the camera image. It has no dimension to it. But once we darkened everything and decided what we wanted our focal point to be, it looks more three-dimensional now. It looks like the bee is in the foreground and the background is actually in the background. I hope you can see that. That's about all for today. I hope you learned something. I hope you give it a try and let me know what you think. See you next time.